Well, hey, friends, welcome back to the table, a church planting journey. We are so excited to be with you now on our fifth episode, I believe. My name is Trevor, and I am joined with my co-pastor, my good friend, Ryan. And we're excited to get rolling into today's episode. But before we do, we like to do, kind of peek behind the curtain, talk to you about what's going on in our lives, what's happening around us. How's your week, Ryan? What's new? What's good?
My week's been going good. Nothing too exciting. I signed a bunch of documents today, refinancing my house.
Good job. I'm proud
Hashtag adulting. I'm saving money, so that's always good news.
Yeah.
Other than that, my wife is still living in Missouri to be close to her dad with my kids. So I'm missing them like crazy. Trying to find a job. Things are going good though.
I feel it. Yeah, I had my first backgrounding dispatching interview, which went really well, I feel like, today. It was like 2 hours. It was mad. It took a long time. And they knew things about me that I didn't know about me.
You gonna do a shout out to our newest listener?
I should. Hey, thank you for tuning in. I'm not gonna name drop here. That might be awkward. But yeah, it's crazy. Things are going well. Kind of moving along the process. It's probably going to take a while, but they got to be thorough. They're working through all these different applicants from all backgrounds of life. And the big thing that I took from this today was be honest, be 100% transparent, just be real. Don't no need to lie or to be deceitful. And so just kind of letting it all out.
I think the Bible has something to say about that.
I know. I think that it says it a couple times at least, but yeah, basically, I think my pastor, last 10 years has really helped me in this. So I don't want to say anything's in the bag because you never know what's going to happen, but I'm hopeful that here in maybe a month or so, or maybe a little bit longer, I will be an employee of the City of Gilbert Police Department. So that'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Just to clarify, for those of you who don't know, during Trevor's interview today, they said that one of them said they listened to our podcast. So
yeah, they're like open with that basically. And it was like, hey, how are you, Trevor? I listen to your podcast. I said, you what? Like, how do you know that? Did you Google me? Yes, we did Google you. They know everything. They brought up apps, social media apps that I didn't even remember making accounts on. It was like,
oh, really?
So are you active? Yeah, they're like, you active on Band? I was like, Band? I haven't used Band since 2019. But I mean, it's kind of a lie. I just used Band this Tuesday for one. It's only for one organization. Yeah. Shout out to ACNYI. But other than that, all my Band accounts are graveyards.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Well, this weekend we got to hang out, didn't we, Ryan? Where did we go? We went up into the snow, right?
We went to Prescott. It did snow. It snowed a lot more after we left, which I'm really glad about because I know my car would have gotten stuck.
Oh, yeah. I think even mine would have gotten stuck in that. I think it's at 36 inches of snow by Tuesday.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's 3 feet for those of you who don't know.
And in centimeters, Google it because I can't do that.
It's almost a meter.
Yeah, it is.
Just shy of a meter. So we went up to Prescott. We did a retreat with our core team, which for those of you who might not know, we're kind of launching in 2 phases, and that we have a group of 10 of us that is our core team that we're counting on for support to help launch the table. And then our next step, which we'll talk about at the end of the show, is we're going to be trying to build a launch team.
Yep.
So that's kind of the tiers that we have.
Yep. We'll sprinkle it right now. So if you're listening right before, there's still time. If you're listening right now, just January 31st at 6 p.m. We're going to do a live Facebook rooms for our launch team. We'll talk about it more, but if you're listening now and you realize it's Sunday, it's 5:30 p.m., you're like, oh, this is a great podcast. Oh no, I want to be a part of this. Head on over to our Facebook, the table launch team. It's a group.
Is it January 31st?
That's the Sunday, right? January 31st.
Oh, I thought it was the 2nd. I am.
Yeah,
Let's just say there's some things that I need to go back and update some dates on.
that's too
Even
funny.
even though I signed that date today like at least 20 times. 1/28/21. I don't
That's too
know
funny.
how. I was doing something earlier where I was like, oh yeah, it's gonna be the 2nd. I don't know why.
That's too funny. Yeah. Well, yes, this Sunday we're doing our launch team meeting, which is exciting. And there's so much that's going to come apart with all these new people joining the team, getting excited. Ryan and I met for lunch today, and it was just awesome to talk and to dream about the future of the table and to kind of look over like, okay, what does it look like in a month from now? What does it look like in 5 years from now? I kind of like, I'm way out there. I'm like, man, we could have house churches in Tucson. I got people that I can call right now. Like, no. Pump the brakes. Pump the brakes. We should probably do it here first.
Yeah, that's kind of my mentality is let's conquer this hill before we go on to the next one.
For sure. Well, before we move on, what was probably the one?
Let me just say this real quick. I do appreciate you like dreaming big and being like, yeah, let's go for this, because I think you need that. You need that both and that.
Absolutely.
Hey,
this is why we work so well together, because I'm the dreamer and you're the realist, and then we bring each other to the forefronts and we accomplish together.
Yeah. I was thinking about that today. I was like, man, like Trevor's just thinking like of all these things that like we haven't even done a service yet. And then I was like, you know what, I appreciate that, because like I think we need that, because if you just like have somebody who just like, you know, wants to maintain the status quo or is looking to kind of, you know, keep it simple, then you don't get the chance to do those things. So
my favorite song is Dream On by Aerosmith. So just kidding. It's definitely top 5, but
don't charge us Aerosmith. I just
please
sang like 3 notes.
It's okay. It was in a different key. We're good. Before we jump into today's topic, what was the best thing about the weekend for you, Ryan? I know that you're missing Megan. Definitely would have been better with her there, but what was the best thing for you?
I think Saturday night, we did church. We had house church. I got to preach sitting down, which was fun.
Great.
Used to standing up when I preach. But yeah, it was a good opportunity to kind of worship together, share the word, and I enjoy preaching. I don't get to do it as much as I like right now. I mean, I'm sure ask me in a year, I'm gonna say I don't want to preach every week. But I really enjoyed it. And then we had communion and it was good.
I agree. I would say the same, but I won't do that for the listeners. I just thoroughly enjoyed every morning. I woke up, I put on my sweats and my sweatshirt, and I put on a jacket over my sweatshirt, which like already right there, that makes it really good. I had my cup of coffee and I got to read scripture just in the snow, because basically it snowed like right after we got there. So it was just awesome to sit, to relax, to read, and like to take, I didn't have a toddler to make sure he was eating his, breakfast properly, or dogs that were interrupting me every 2 seconds. And the big thing was I didn't have the distractions of like my television, my computer. Like I put my phone down during that time. It was very intentional, and really kind of showed me what I'm lacking at home. And so kind of trying to reform those habits now that we're here in the house, and after, try to find the time after we get the kids settled and everything ready to sit down and really crank out some of that scripture reading. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah. And then, I mean, this was a highlight as well. I mean, for those of you who don't know, we went through a book. We did a study on the book, The Art of Neighboring.
Yep.
I don't have it in front of me.
Mine's right back there. I won't grab
it. It's a great book. There's a video study on Right Now Media for those of you who have access to that. That was made in 2020 during the pandemic. So it's got a bunch of stuff about, hey, this is how you can be a good neighbor even amongst a pandemic.
Yep.
So the reason why I really enjoyed that, and the reason why we chose that, was because we really want to focus at the table for kind of treating our neighborhoods as our mission fields and reaching out to to love our neighbors, to physically love our actual neighbors, not
Yep.
just kind of this imaginary person far, far away, but the people who live next door to us.
For sure. Well, speaking of the pandemic, we it's funny think about this today. We should be planting the table in a week and a half.
Oh
Per our
no!
per our regular original plan, Ryan.
Yeah,
We were scheduled to launch Super Bowl Sunday, which is not this Sunday. This Sunday is supposed to be Pro Bowl Sunday, right? I don't know. I haven't watched football in a while,
this
but
Sunday's the 31st, apparently.
yeah. So next Sunday is
Yeah.
supposed to be our original launch date. But 2020 pandemic,
Yes.
everything, right? Like
2020 happened. It was a thing.
it was a thing. And so, I mean, off the top of like just where we're at in this for people listening, obviously I would assume that pretty much every single person listening gets it. 2020 was a wild year. The pandemic really forced us to change and adapt so many things. So I don't think we need to explain to people why we changed our launch date from February to what it is now in August. But kind of let's walk through for those listening today why was that our original date and why did we choose August just to start it, and then we can go into kind of this big development that we worked on called our ministry plan, our ministry proposal, that kind of dives deeper into this. But so why were we originally thinking February, I think 7th?
Yeah. We were going to throw a big Super Bowl party. It was going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Maybe next year we can do that. But the reasoning behind it is that there's actually research that goes into this that says Super Bowl Sunday and the first or second weekend of school in the fall are essentially the two best times of years to launch a church.
Yep.
And there's good reason for both of these. Super Bowl Sunday, you are leading up into Easter. So you're kind of building momentum for a month or two before you get to Easter. And then the same thing with the fall, you're leading up into Christmas. So as you begin to have services, people tell their friends, you send out invites. It's kind of a good way to build a community. So that was the original thinking behind it was Super Bowl Sunday. We'll throw a big party. We'll kind of start with the bash, and we'll kind of lead our way into Easter this year. And for a while, I don't know. I remember I was pretty reluctant about changing it.
Yeah. Well, I felt that initially. It was like, no, we should stick to our guns. Because when we first were describing and talking about change, it was like March or April of last year, and it's like, oh well, we'll be fine by then. Like we can do a lot, and then really, summertime we hit that like COVID surge in Arizona. And it was like, oh my, like this ain't going away anytime soon. We're delayed because we're not meeting. It might have been that first core meeting that we didn't meet in person, right? We went to Zoom, and it was like, man, we don't get nearly as much accomplished as we need to.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously a lot of factors, but
I think March or April was the first one that we did that.
Yep.
And then I had a conversation with Mark Bain. For those of you who don't know who Mark is, he's the head person for church planning and evangelism for our denomination. And he goes around, he teaches all these classes on how to plant churches and how to evangelize. I called and talked to him, and he was telling me he's planning a church in Indianapolis, and they pushed back their launch. And I was like, you know what? If Mark Bain's doing it, I don't feel nearly as bad doing it.
I think that's what sealed it for me. When you were like, hey, Mark Bain pushed back his launch, like you weren't even finished with your sentence. I'm like, cool. We're the same. We're doing
it. Yeah. Like, I don't know if like that should be our, like the requirement. He's planted a bunch of churches and stuff like that. But like, as soon as he said like, yeah, we're pushing it back because of COVID, I was like, okay, I don't feel nearly as bad anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and so we switched it to August, which you kind of already described, these two really big, launching points. But why did we decide not to plant in May or like in the summertime? That was kind of a big discussion that we know the answer to, but maybe a lot of people listening think, well, maybe if summer launch is the way you should go. So why shouldn't, or why didn't we, or why shouldn't you plant, going into the summer?
Basically, all the research says don't do it.
Yeah.
Especially
if you
in
haven't
Arizona.
already seen it.
Especially in Arizona, where like half the population leaves in the summer. I mean, even people who live here, like they're like hermits. Like you can't even. You're just staying. You're just trying to go from air conditioning to air conditioning during the summer.
It's reverse winter. I mean, that's what summer is, but like in the sense of, in the East Coast or like, up north where you get just these bundles of snow and you're like, I really don't want to leave the house. I'm going to stay here, stay warm. I'm only going to go out for groceries. Like we're not going to do a lot unless you like go play pond hockey out in Minnesota. It'd
be fun.
But like it's reverse here where we go out and we do everything in the winter. And then when it's summertime, it's like you're saying, it's AC to AC. I go from my cool house, which cool here is like 80 degrees in your house. That's cool. To your pre-started car. If you're wealthy enough, you pre-start the car outside the driveway. So it cools down from like 130 to at least 100. Then you drive to the next location, which hopefully has colder AC.
Yeah.
So, and it's just a cycle for 4 months.
Yeah. 4 months if you're lucky. We had like the most like 110 plus degree days last summer.
It was like 120 or something like that. It was stupid.
Yeah,
stupid.
so
all the way into September.
There's lots of reasons why not to plant in the summer, but part of the reason is that basically you don't want to be trying to start something new with people kind of coming and going all the time.
Yeah,
it's hard to get momentum.
Absolutely.
We're gonna be kind of doing something. We're kind of cheating the system. We're gonna be doing what we call a soft launch during the summer, where mostly it's we're still doing outreach. We're still pre-launch phase. We're not going to be doing our full-on programming the way we plan on doing it once we get going. But we're going to be meeting weekly, having services. But it's mostly going to be to try to kind of tell our neighbors and invite our friends and stuff like that.
Yeah, it'll be the perfect time to come and go and check it out, especially with so many people traveling and going out of state, going out of town. They can stop in, hang out, this is starting in August, cool. I can come and go for the next 3 months. And then in August I'll commit, kind of that soft launch, that outreach, the word of mouth. Like we were talking this afternoon about like how every single one of our events is just about getting the word out. And the more that people can just know about this, the better it is for us. So we're excited. We've developed a lot. We have tons of conversations, which leads us to our ministry proposal, this ministry plan that, if I'm honest, man, Ryan killed this. I helped edit it. That is what I will say. I was there and I edited things. I added some things, but Ryan knocked this out of the park.
I'm going to be honest too and say that I mostly stole everything from Cody.
Who, if you didn't listen last week, he was our guest last week. Cody absolutely killed his ministry plan, and we kind of.
And I'm pretty sure he stole it from somebody else. So.
Perfect. That's how it works. You just share. It's not stealing; it's borrowing.
Yeah.
But we went into this ministry proposal, this ministry plan that we developed, and ours is, man, how many pages is this thing? I've got it open on my other screen.
It's 13 pages long without the finances.
Correct.
So we took that part out.
But so we'll make this available to you. So if you guys want to look at our ministry plan, if you haven't heard of this, or you've never developed one yourself, or maybe you're kind of wanting to do a compare and contrast, you can go down into the bio, the link below. It'll be a Google Drive. We'll send you there. It'll be a viewable link that you can look at and compare on both Anchor, Facebook, YouTube, all the places that you're looking. But it's basically this large proposal, this explanation of what our church is, what we're doing, how we're doing it, and a timeline.
Yeah. It's like I said, it's pretty intense, and it's basically sorry, my dog's walking around. The closest thing is that it's pretty close to being like a business plan. And so like if you want to start a business and you need to take out a loan, you have to give them a business plan for, this is how we're going to, start a business. This is how we're going to spend our money. This is how we're going to grow. And same concept, basically. Hey, this is what our plan is. This is how we plan on using our finances. This is how we plan on adding to our church, how we plan on evangelizing, how we plan on, meeting new people. So yeah.
We looked into kind of just expanding this idea to share not only with our denominational leaders, but with just people, so that when we went to explain the table, we had this whole big thing written out. So let me just kind of read through a little bit of what this looks like for us. And so we have our ministry proposal, and we open with why plant a church. And so we kind of explain a little bit into why. Then we go into our mission, our vision, and values, which we've described in a previous episode. That you guys can go back. I think it's episode 2 or 3. And then we go into a key verse and then our unique structure. Because we're doing this church plant, house church network, it's obviously different than your traditional model. And so we explained how the model works within meeting in the houses the first 3 Sundays. The 4th Sunday being our traditional, more corporate worship setting, the gathering, kind of family Sunday. And then the 5th being this outreach, this like, we're not going to like take this extra Sunday for ourselves, but we're going to be intentional and go. And so then we covered everything, went to
Yeah. Have we talked about that yet?
Yeah.
I feel like, have we mentioned the 5th Sunday thing yet?
I
don't know.
I think we've mentioned it, but if we haven't, let me describe it. So I was saying, we have the first 3 Sundays being in the churches, in the houses, typical house church, where we've talked about that bookending of it. From there, we go to our 4th Sunday, which is more of a traditional gathering, large group, so that all of the house churches are intermixing and together as one cohesive unit. And our 5th Sundays, that we haven't described this already, is this intentional attitude of going and serving your community. We're not thinking about, okay, every 5th Sunday we're going to Mexico and we're doing this big mission. No. It's, what can I do in my community? What can I do for my neighbors? Ryan and I, we were driving in his neighborhood a week or so ago, and kind of just driving around saying, like, look at the opportunities that are right here. Like, this person's house, we could go and we could help clear out the junk, and then help, either raise funds or get people together to redo their roof. I mean, this area is totally graffitied up. I know this guy who has a sandblasting company, and he can come and clear that off. There's so many. I challenge you, if you're listening right now, go walk around your neighborhood. Saturday morning, Sunday night, go walk around your neighborhood with the intention of noticing, and look for what you've always missed. Maybe it's the older couple's home that the weeds are kind of overgrown, and you look and you say, man, they only took care of it or paid someone. Well, maybe they can't. Maybe that's how you can serve your neighbors, And so, and maybe it's bigger, maybe it's smaller, but this idea of, at the table, intentionally, we're gonna take our individual house churches and the people within them and serve and love our neighbors, like Jesus commands, to love your neighbor as yourself, right?
Yeah, and that's only like 3 or 4 months a year. So the idea is that it's not an every month thing, but on the off chance that it is a 5th Sunday month, that's the plan, is that we'll do that. So okay, so let's keep going down.
Yeah, we got. So continuing through our ministry plan, again, if you want to have this open so you can kind of follow along with us, you can, but we have our unique issues. How in the world are we going to do youth and children in a house church setting? We kind of cover that in here, giving pastors, and actually Ryan and I had some pretty good discussion today about how we're wanting to expand our pastors. And actually as well, in our retreat weekend, we spent a good hour in discussing the role of the pastor in the house church, and who do we call a pastor, and why. And, the Nazarene church, pastor is kind of thrown around for a lot of people. You get your district license, your pastor, you get your local license, your pastor, which is good and bad in its own accord. And then you got other denominations where you can only be a pastor when you have your PhD. maybe not that, but like your master's degree, you got an MDiv, and then you're a pastor or whatever.
I feel like our denomination is pretty good at kind of drawing the middle line, in that we don't make it, I mean, for ordination, but we don't make it so like you have to go pay a bunch of money and take out student loans and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we expect education.
Yeah.
So
we have a really good system that, at the end of the day, as frustrating as the process can be, if any of our district leaders are listening, we love it. It's the best. It's the best. But as frustrating as it can be sometimes, it really does help create an atmosphere of cohesiveness and unity, and knowing that these people who are called pastors, these people who are elders and deacons in our church, have been vetted, verified, and know what they're doing. And I appreciate the process.
Yeah.
Moving into it, we again kind of hit this really big section that is preparation, pre-launch, launch, and post-launch, and kind of this really big thing. And on ours, you'll see a lot of lines cross through, and we've done them. We've hit these markers that you can kind of follow along. It looks all the way back to March 2020.
I just found a mistake already.
Too funny. Edit it before we send this to people.
No, it's the launch date is off on it.
Oh, too funny. Yeah. Well, hey, it's
on the so it doesn't matter. I mean, people can still take it and use it, but
that's right.
I just missed it.
It's too funny. Yeah, but we explain at this point in March 2020 in our plan, myself and Ryan, our district leaders, Doug and Jeff, and then our local leaders, John and David, are pastors that we were, John was my senior pastor. David is Ryan's senior pastor. But the six of us all got together. We met in the office and we're COVID friendly with our masks. And
this is before that was something.
Was it right before? I don't remember.
Nobody was wearing masks back then.
Yeah, definitely not mandatory. I thought maybe I didn't have one. Rochelle definitely did by that point, but I can't remember. It's all a blur. But we just kind of expand and get to show you everything that went into where we're at now, because we're still in the pre-launch phase, right? Where we haven't even got to our soft launch. And so in this preparation pre-launch, we're on step 2 of 4. And it's been a journey. It has been a journey. Think of a time throughout this kind of journey that you've kind of wanted to follow something so hard, or maybe you've just had to realize I have to let go of my expectations because COVID or 2020 or whatever,
Yeah. I think, I'm already seeing a bunch of things, which shows you, it's been a couple days since I've looked at this, but usually we'll get down to the timetable is kind of the thing I've been looking at mostly recently. Like I said, I just noticed something that was already off. This has been a fluid document. Every time I open it, I feel like we're making some kind of change or edit to it. It's kind of one of those things like we hold with loose hands. You gotta let it go through. You gotta let you grab the sand and you let it run through your hands. Like you can't squeeze too tight, because the second you get fixated on one thing, it's like, oh, this is the way we're doing it. Something's going to come up and change. So
for sure. Well, you almost have to be immensely flexible. And there is a very important note of, it is good to put this down on paper and to have timelines and deadlines set for yourself.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, the majority of humans on this earth do not have the type A skill to get it done. Right. We have a team that we've helped design that's called our Get It Done team. And we need them to help. But this also is not the hard and fast that if we don't get to these dates or these things in time, we failed. It's fluid in this, I love that analogy, the holding the sand. We got to just scoop it up and hold what we can and let go of what we can't.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause that's actually one of the things that I really appreciate. Our district superintendent, Doug, if he's listening, hey, Doug, he was very clear. I think we were stressing about it a lot more. We were like, what happens if we don't meet our deadlines? Like, what happens and he's like, things will change. It's okay. As long as you're still working towards those things, it'll be okay. I really appreciated that attitude about it. It was like, oh, so 2 months in, if we didn't meet one big deadline, we're not going to just get the axe and sorry, thanks for trying. It's like, no, things are going to change. Things are going to evolve. And just basically just know that and feel free to edit the document, So
absolutely. That's why it's editable.
Yeah.
Yeah. We go through, this whole idea of, we're still in the pre-launch phase, but it's exciting because you can put down this launch and post-launch and kind of look through the future of what is to come. And it gives you that excitement of Oh, there's good stuff. This, you can the dreaming. I look at some of our post launch, our post launch stuff that we have down. We're thinking, we want our house churches. We want to have 60 to 80 people post launch. Like once we're going and rolling, 60 to 80 people with 120, 100 to 120 in our larger fourth Sunday gatherings. Having 3 to 5 house churches. Where we're at now, we're like, can we name off the 3 locations we're meeting? Not yet. Like we still got a ways to go to get there. But when we're looking at what it looks like this next September, I'm excited for September 2021 because we're already planning this family retreat where we launch and then we go right into this. Okay, families, let's come together. We're going to have a speaker come and preach for us. We're going to connect, share, love, and then we're going to go back down the mountain and just be the church. It's exciting stuff where that's the plan. Again, we're still flexible because of COVID and how everything in the world is going, but the ability that I can get excited about these dreams. In fact, actually just this week I met with kind of our hope for who we want to come and speak at this retreat. So Ryan and I can be a part and not have to worry about preaching it, because we're going to do that a lot throughout this. And so being able to come and be spoken to and then just interact as part of the congregation is going to be really good. But that's post launch. We got a lot to do to get there. We got a lot to do.
Yeah, we have a lot of stuff to do still. And some days I'm just like, man, it seems so far away, and then some days I'm like, oh man, we have way too much stuff to do. I'm just but I think the thing that's good about this is, first of all, it gives us goals. It gives us an idea of what the plan is. So even though we're adjusting the plan, so like for instance, today we were talking about we're gonna plan on going door to door and putting out like these like swag bags, like where we're giving people like pop sockets and stickers and maybe even masks.
Fun stuff.
But this idea of like, that's going to be how we're going to advertise. We're going to kind of give people these things. That wasn't in our ministry plan. And so we just have to go through and we have to be like, okay, well, this kind of counts as advertisement costs. And we're going to take it away from that. And so, so, it's this idea of, okay, well, we're still reaching out. We're still inviting people. We're just doing it a little bit different than what we had originally planned.
Yeah. And I think that's that's so great about this ministry plan is, again, you can put so much stuff on paper, but like you get inspired and you get excited, you have a new conversation, you realize like, oh, we can do that. Like we have the ability to do that. I never even thought of that when I was designing this ministry plan nearly a year ago. And so you can add all these things and, it doesn't have to be on the paper. We kind of wrapping up this ministry plan. We then kind of did like a week to week timeline of what we were trying to accomplish, what we wanted to accomplish. And it goes through from January 2020 all the way to now, what we're doing, what we're trying to accomplish. Ryan has also put this onto a spreadsheet document that's been really just easy. It's color coordinated. It's really good to see like, okay, we're doing, launch team stuff here. We're doing outreach here. We're doing church here.
Yeah.
But it kind of shows you this flow of, we're looking at, third Sundays are come and sees, fourth Sundays are core and launch team meetings, and just this expansion that gets you to this. It feels like there's so much to do. Like you were just saying, right? There's so much to do. Feels like you're never going to get it all done, but at the same time, it feels like you can just start and roll right now. Like we don't need to do any of this. We're just going to go. But we go through this timeline and we hit that August. We do this last kind of door-to-door invite, and then we launch.
Yeah.
And before we know it, August 22nd hits, and we're doing our big fourth Sunday gathering all together. And I kind of, when I first kind of was looking at August, when we were looking at it, I was frustrated because I'm like, it's a fifth Sunday month.
Yeah.
we have to do big church, and then we have to go do outreach. But what a better way to launch.
Yeah.
Right? Like this idea of we come together, we're the table, and this is how we're going to be. We're going to be a church that cares and serves and loves right off the bat.
Yeah. And then we go into the retreat, which is, I think is good because it's kind of an opportunity for people to connect in the broader sense of like, hey, like we are the table, not just like, hey, we're Jeff's house church or something like that. Like
Yeah.
instead of, I think one of the biggest um, fears I think I have for our model is that it can become cliquish, and we don't
Oh
want
yeah.
that. And so by doing kind of our larger service, doing a service project, and then doing our retreat, like we're starting off by saying like, no, we are all members of the table together,
Yep.
and then we go into the house churches.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm hoping that kind of gives people a chance to like meet some friends and be like, hey, we should be a part of their house church or
Exactly.
something
Well,
like
and that's
that.
this whole idea of, you might be coming all the way out to my house church, driving 15 miles and realize, oh, there's another one. And there, and like, we went to, high school together or something like that. And you just can connect and potentially create this environment of like, oh man, this is exciting. Like, we're going to a house church, but maybe like a month, let's ask our house pastor if we can do our own, like we can start our own. And like this
Yeah.
idea that it grows and grows and multiplies and multiplies and multiplies. And it's exciting. There's going to be some unique challenges that we're going to encounter, and there's a lot that we're going to have to do to be intentional to not form some of those cliques and some of these things that are bad habits that we could form. But at the
Yeah.
same time, the sky is the limit here. I mean, there really isn't a limit. It's just we can just go and build and grow, and it's awesome and terrifying and exciting and all of these words. It's the back and forth, the double-sided coin here when I'm thinking the table is a thing. We're legit. We got merch. Look at this hoodie. If you're listening to the podcast,
Yeah.
go over to the YouTube channel. Just go over to social media. Go over to the Table Naz on any of the social medias, or the table.naz on Instagram, because that's the only one that's different. And look at this awesome merch that we got. We got some hoodies.
Yeah.
If you can kind of see it, it's the logo, the name, and the logo is like hiding in the shadows. So cool.
Yeah. We're up in our merch game for sure. But yeah, like I think we're getting there, and I think so if you're out there and you're thinking about maybe planting, once again, we're in this, so that's part of the thing that we're doing is like, hey, we're kind of airing our good and bad. But one of the things that I think from the research I did and um, listening to different podcasts, reading books and websites and stuff like that, one of the ways that we're kind of leading into launch is that we're really intentional that we always have what we always have something next. And so we did our come and see a couple of weeks ago online, and we answered some Q&A questions, and we had next steps. We had join our Facebook group, come to our launch team meeting at the end of the month. And then from our launch team meeting, we're going to say, hey, next week we're going to be going and we're going to be handing out these invite cards, and start telling your friends about our outreach event in March. And so everything is kind of designed to, hey, here's the next thing, so that you don't have to feel like, okay, well, it's a church, but you're not doing church. Like, the idea is like, hey, there's always something else, and then and then anytime somebody can come in and they can just go to the next thing. It's not like, oh, I missed the last 5 episodes, I don't know what's happening.
There's always the next. It's always growing. We're always moving, growing. And what's great is like there's should we drop the secret Thursday thing we were talking about? Like should we explain that, or should we keep that a secret for a little bit?
No, that's fine. We were talking today about doing something different, calling it Theology Thursday. This idea where we get on and we talk about, hey, these are things that we believe. These are things that we that our church, our denomination is, that we hold dear to us. And it's nerdy and it's kind of weird to a certain extent. And don't get me wrong, I'm not expecting us to have a huge attendance of this. I say that now, and then it's going to be like the biggest thing we do.
Yeah.
But this is the idea of like, we get on and we talk about like, hey, what is the Bible? What do we believe about atonement? What do we believe about eschatology? What do we believe about all these kind of churchy words, and kind of explain them, and then also kind of explain where we stand. in a lot of ways.
Well, and if you miss those, I mean, that's where it's like, if you miss the one thing, there's always something else. We got, Theology Thursdays that we're planning to start. We have the podcast. I mean, simply this, we've been publishing this weekly now. It's been great. Sometimes we're like, hey, bro, it's Thursday podcast. And you're like, oh yeah, we could do that real fast. But, we go from there to, core events, to, outreach events, launch events. There's so many different things to where you just can be a part of the table in so many different capacities and categories. And, we're building and designing the sermon series that we're going to go into and kind of run with through this year. And just, it's so exciting because there's just so much, but at the same time, it's like that. It's not like I want every single day to have house church, like I said in the last episode or 2 episodes ago, but like at the same time, I could totally have house church every single day and be cool with that,
Yeah. If I didn't have to preach every time, that would
amen. I'm 100% with you. Let's get seven pastors.
I think that's kind of a good kind of transition to where we started talking about how COVID has been. So like, we're already at the point where we're modifying things still for COVID. So like, can you talk about maybe like, how do we modify this last month, and then how are we going to plan on modifying going ahead?
Oh, you cut yourself off there at last second, but yes, I got that.
Sorry.
No, you're good. It
I'm
was
trying to mute so my dogs don't make a lot of noise.
I get that. Well, yeah, the whole time we've had to just be flexible in this whole thing, in January, 2021, we had this idea of this big come and see in person, come there. We'll have food, we'll do service, and we'll have question and answer. Well, can't meet in big groups, and you can't meet in big groups in a small house. So we modified that and we did it online, and it worked and it rocked. And now we have this resource that is always available to send people to. Now, this weekend, this Sunday, if you're listening to it before the 31st of January, we have our first launch team event. And again, that we wanted to have, we wanted to go into a big backyard and hang out, get to know each other, and, share food again and talk and question answer.
Food's always central.
It's the staple, man. It's the staple. We're the table. Food happens.
Yeah.
Maybe should that be our slogan? We're the table. Food happens.
No, that'd be good.
Maybe not. I don't know. But we had to modify because we care about the safety of others. And you can mask up, you can socially distant, but we don't need to meet in person right now. Like there isn't it is not absolutely necessary for in-person event to happen to be successful and just take those steps. So we're meeting on Facebook and using the Facebook Rooms feature, which is just basically a free version of Zoom with a little less control, and we'll see how it works. It might go really bad this Sunday, but it might be perfect. We might grab 3 or 4 new people or couples that jump in and they we're part of this. We're here to listen and be a part. Tell us what to do. How can we help?
Yeah.
And if we get 3 people, that's great. If we could get, Cody told us, right, expect 2, and your expectations will never be broken.
Yeah.
Maybe. But we might have 15.
I'm thinking 5. 5 is my goal.
There you go. 5 is the goal. I'm still expecting 2.
If we have 5 more people than what we've had with our core team, I'm going to be stoked about that.
Well, we have 10 in the core team, and there's 35 people currently on that Facebook group, And yes, there's probably a couple, 4 or 5 on there who joined because they cared about you or me, Ryan, and they said, I just want to be here to support and pray. Yeah. And we love you. Thank you for, that is enough that you just pray and be here with us, and you just cared, enough to support us, even by just simply hitting that like. Yeah. So this next step, Ryan, this Sunday, like we've kind of mentioned a few times, is this launch team meeting, right? And so, what is, because I can't think of it off the top of my head. So this is perfect because now the viewers will also get to listen, but so will I. What are we doing this Sunday?
Well, it's basically what we've been doing with our core team meetings is kind of just updating people where we're at, kind of what our goals are for the month and how people can serve. One of the things that we're trying to do, I don't know if we'll have it in time for this month, but my goal is that one of the things we're going to be doing is we're going to be sharing our financials every month. Hey, this is where we're at, because we're trying to fundraise. And we have goals that we've set for ourselves, and we want to make sure that we're hitting those goals. And so trying to just be completely honest and, be open with everybody and basically, hey, if you've made the time to come here, we want to let you know what's happening.
Yeah. And to be accountable in that we're not just blowing the money that's being donated. And, when we're spending $400 on shirts, like that sounds like a lot of money, but when you're looking at the amount of shirts you're getting, the quality and what we're doing with them, being able to kind of break down and expand and show, we're not just laundering money here.
Yeah.
I don't understand that. Like you put it in the laundry machine and it like runs it for you a bunch. So that's what Walter White did.
That's
right?
Watch Breaking Bad. I think it'll explain it. I
Yeah.
think no, the idea is that we're being open and honest, and I think both you and I are pretty good at not just buying frivolous things.
No,
and so just being like, it feels like we've been spending a lot of money on the table, but it's kind of like one of those things like we've just started kind of getting money into our account and we're starting to like do things, and so yeah, we're
like you said today, in our conversation, there's a big upfront cost for some stuff that's just going to last us the entirety of this summer.
Yeah.
We're upfronting a bunch, and then we won't have to spend nearly as much come, May and June, when we're like, oh yeah, we've still got 1,200 stickers.
Yeah, or like we're like researching buying like banners and signs. Like the idea is that we buy those once every couple of years, and we can reuse the same ones.
Yeah. Don't put years on them. You can put dates, just not years.
Don't put just don't put dates.
Just don't even put dates. Yeah.
It's a general rule. Unless you just have a lot of money or have access to a sign business. But yeah, like we're starting to spend money, like, and then some of the stuff, it's like, even, we were researching last week, like buying a computer, like we need a new computer. We need a computer for the table or sound system. Like that's probably going to be our biggest cost.
On some of the finances that we kind of ran through, I think it was literally like the AV was our biggest line item. And just because the first year, that's what it's going to be. Like year 2, 3, we don't need to buy new sound equipment. We don't, like, it's great that we have all this stuff donated to us already. We're so thankful, like for Monte Vista, for Tempe, for other churches that have already donated stuff. But man, that's like 1,500 pounds of equipment.
Yeah.
I want a Behringer X18 Air that weighs as much as my toddler.
Do you kiss your mother with that mouth? I don't know what that means.
it's for those of you who don't know, that Behringer X18 Air is this amplifier system that runs wirelessly over an iPad to produce and create your digital music and sound at locations, rather than lugging this gigantic soundboard. That's what we currently have. I have this like 80-pound soundboard in my garage.
Yeah.
I just want an X18 Air, please, and an iPad. So Santa, Christmas is coming. Actually, my birthday is sooner. So either or, Easter Bunny, Santa, like whoever we're like shouting out to.
Yeah. I mean, so like we're kind of doing the best we can with things that we've had given to us or we can get on the cheap. But also we're trying to be mindful of thinking long term too, because basically if you like, used stuff is great, but it's not going to last as long as new stuff. And so you have to be mindful of that, of, okay, yeah, it's going to be a lot of money to buy a new sound system, but that's a one-time expense for 5 years, and you think about
15,
Yeah.
I think the stuff that we're using that has donated to us is 20 years old. So it's getting its worth.
And so, but I mean, it's like, I bought my road bike a couple years ago, and somebody was asking me like how much I spent on it. I told them it was like $1,500, and they're like, "Wow, that's like so much money." I'm like, "Well, if you think about it, if I ride it for the next 5 years, you break that down to like a weekly cost. It's not that much money."
Yeah, especially if you're like you do, you've commuted on your bike rather than your car. You're saving money on your car. I mean, there's just I feel it. Well, before we continue down this rabbit hole, let's wrap it up, because I don't even know how long we've gone, but we were saying like, hey, let's keep this short. My wife is looking at me right now saying, I want to vacuum this house, but I'm resisting because of the microphone. I love you. But What can we be praying for you, Ryan, this week, this month? What's something that not just myself, obviously, but the viewers, the listeners can be praying with you for?
Yeah, I think pray for the church plant. I think we're, like you said, we're doing basically like so far we've kind of had a small group, and that's who we've been doing everything for. And like starting this Sunday, like we're expanding, we're inviting new people. So just pray that God puts this vision on people's hearts and they feel called to join with us. And then also, just personally, like it's been difficult with my wife being gone. I was just talking to her yesterday or the day before, and for good reason. She was basically saying like, "Hey, until like you probably shouldn't come visit until you've been vaccinated, because
Mm.
my father-in-law is going through chemo, and basically like if you didn't do that, basically you'd have to come here and like wear a mask the whole time
Yeah,
and
quarantine.
like not be able to like go visit my in-laws, down the street, because I'm trying to keep them safe, and I will have just flown in a petri dish of a airplane. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm just hoping that the vaccine stuff keeps going, because I know I'm eager to get it, and I know a lot of people are. But yeah, partly because I want to go visit my family and I want to go see them, and then for you and I both,
Yeah.
jobs. We're both looking for work. Sounds like you got a good lead on one today, but I haven't been as lucky lately. I've been applying. I've had a few interviews, but it hasn't gone beyond that.
Yeah, I get that. I do. Yeah, I think yeah, I'm just thinking, man, we'll be praying for you. The vaccine's huge. Rochelle just got hers. She's a healthcare worker, and other than that, probably 8 hours of not feeling well after the second shot, she's much better. But we'll be definitely praying you can get that soon, and we can get you guys out together as a family unit together. And
Yeah,
for Dan, the whole situation, that's big. If you guys don't know all this certain situations, I think we talked about it in the first or second podcast. You can go back and listen, but just a big, big, deep situation. Pray for Dan. Pray for Megan and Ryan, the kids. We love them. As for myself, like Ryan said, the job, the table, just some good stuff. I think my wife is craving a date, and I have been a good husband by taking care of other things, but I need to be a better husband and take her out on a date. So pray that she will stop wanting to go on a date. Just kidding. She's over here looking at me with such a face. No, I'm just messing. But that we find the time that we can stay safe. We can do something that is COVID friendly. Like our son can go and stay with grandparents for some time. That we can go get, because really 2020 really, we're still only 3 or 4 years into our marriage now, and
yeah.
just this I don't even remember. She's over here. It's been 5 years of dating. Okay, she wanted to get a 5-year wedding ring already. Like, come on.
For Rochelle.
But I can't even focus. She's making faces at me. If you guys are watching on YouTube, she's not in the shot, but yes. But just that our marriage and our families, just continues to
Let's
go
pray that
well.
Trevor stays married for another week.
Yeah, well, I'm sleeping on the couch tonight, friends. I have a comfortable couch. We just bought a new one, so. But
It is very comfortable. I can vouch for that.
it is. We tried to have a meeting there.
Yeah.
We tried. I don't know, but I think at this point, just that I continue to have big faith. God has provided for our family so many times in the past. And I truly believe that he's continuing and he is providing for us right now, even though I might not have a job for another 2 or 3 months. Just that I have the big faith that I've had to know that God's going to provide. We're
Yeah.
going to be fine. We'll never miss a meal. We're never going to miss a mortgage. And it's just, people love us. God provides, and, just maybe, I guess, more specific. I just don't have the anxiety that I have had with that. I can just let it go. We can focus on the table. We can focus on my wife, my kid, and the future, and all the people around me. And that big thing, I'm going to admit it right now. We went on this retreat. We read The Art of Neighboring, and I ran into my neighbor and I didn't say hi.
What?
So pray for me that I am a better neighbor, because we literally did a whole weekend on it, and I literally didn't do. In my defense, I was cold. I had just driven back from Tucson. My kid was crying, so I was trying to get him in the door. The dogs were barking, but I could have, and I should have taken the 5 minutes to stop, say hi, talk, converse, and just interact for a little bit, and then gone and take care of the other stuff. But I walked in the door, I shut the garage, and I go, "You've got to be kidding me, Trevor!" Like, I literally did the opposite of what we talked about this week. So, confession there, but also prayer that I'd be a better neighbor.
We will pray for you. Okay, well, I think that's it for this week. Thank you guys so much for joining us on the table, a church plant journey. Hopefully this helps you with some idea of how to make a ministry plan. Like Trevor said, we'll throw that link in the description, and you guys can go check out ours. And we should see you next week. I don't know what we're talking about next week. we kind of plan these week to week, but we have some ideas. We kind of have a running list of ideas that we
see. Maybe we can get Joel on next week. Talk about the logo.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about so that I'm gonna name it and claim it. I'm gonna say Joel's gonna be on next week. We're gonna talk about a logo. We're gonna talk about the importance of logo and branding, and what that means for you as you look to plant a church.
Sure.
Also, I'm gonna kind of do a little teaser. We potentially have some big news coming up.
No, not potentially. We do. It's happening.
Oh yeah. It is happening.
We got the 8-page document today.
Yeah.
Signed, sealed, delivered.
So we're hoping in the next week or two we should be able to announce something cool about what's going on with our podcast. And I'm not going to give more information than that because I don't want to get in trouble. I'm pretty sure I signed something that said I can't say anything.
Is that what we signed? I don't know.
I don't know.
I thought it was a lunchbox.
I wasn't paying attention.
No, we do have some exciting stuff. So make sure that you're tuning in week after week so that you can hear about that, because
subscribe.
It's not just we're not pulling your leg. This isn't something silly. Like it's something that we're both passionate about, that we're excited to be a part of. That's a little bit of a teaser. Yes. Again, you can follow us on all of our social medias. If you're listening now on Spotify, Apple, Anchor, any of that, we thank you. If you're watching on YouTube, we appreciate you. One of the awesome things is that we use the Anchor app, which gives you the ability to reply via voice, kind of like leaving a voicemail. So if you are on the Anchor app, or maybe you want to get there, head on over, anchor.fm/the table Naz. You can leave a message on this podcast with a question, a comment, a concern, whatever you want to say, or just want to pop in and say, hey, thanks. We had Oscar back on a few weeks ago. We appreciate that. But if you don't, you can always comment on it. Again, all of our social media are the table Naz on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Google Analytics are popping.
You were
table Naz, Naz.
You were cutting out there, so I'm gonna say it again. The table Naz.
Yes, the table Naz.
With that, we need to probably be done.
Bandwidth, man. All right, buddy. I'll see you soon. Thanks for hanging out.
All right.
Appreciate all you guys listening.
Bye.